So I'll dive into the publication effectivity sheet. I want to know what publication effectivity sheet is. So as I said, this is based on the job analysis, and API SIRE inspector, normally API recognize 4 levels. One is the basic level, the entry level that you're going to be tested against, the supervisory level, and the mastery level. So you should know very basic. Don't worry, many questions are so simple in the exam, provided that you remember them. I'll give you some tips on this. Let's dive into the study guide for source inspection of rotating equipment. This is a single most important document that you should study, and it's free, and it's there, and you can download it. You can also. So if you come here, look at the scope, references, definitions, then abbreviation, all these, there are exam questions. Training is a very like a 1 paragraph page, not much. Source inspection management program, many of you might not understand what is this, but this is basically something that API has brought, and many American companies are using them. So it basically says that you should have a program or a plan how to manage the vendors, from doing the surveillance visits, checking the reports, etc., etc. But normally this is, on behalf of the clients, intervention points, there are already a column in the ITP, inspection test plan. This is already reflected there, and then you can complement it with the inspection register, surveillance register, or NCR register, and etc., and inspection look ahead and that sort of thing. I think that's enough, and many industry are using that, and I don't know why we should complicate the issue. But some companies, they have surveillance supplier quality surveillance plan. So it practically says that, okay, this is this package, and these are the witness point, review point, hold point for each area. So that's practically an extract from the intervention points of the client. In the ITP, actually, that's what it is, plus explanation of a package, really. So the planning activities, that's again, you have a program, and then you plan it based on that. Report review, source inspection performance, it says what you need to, at the end of the surveillance, you should know what you could do better. What safety things you have to consider in case you have an disagreement with the vendor. Don't become argumentative. Raise it with your supervisor. What is a non-conformance, and then examination tools, equipment, and then final acceptance, cast, and then welding, casting, etc. So these are up to chapter 10 is similar, exactly similar with the API SIFE or API SIE. Because these are like management level of that QA part of it. So you have a QA part and you have an inspection part. And then the rest is specific to this exam, source inspector. So it's about pumps, gears, drivers, etc. All these standards they talk about. I'll go briefly through that, publication efficiency. And then the appendix A, there is a good number of figures that I think it's inspection tools, okay? So I will give you some tips here. You have to unfortunately remember this. Why you need to remember these numbers? I mean, some of the most important ones we have highlighted in our course material, because if you're doing, say, a gas turbine, you should know as an inspector that which standard is normally applicable, okay? If you're doing a centrifugal pump, so always 610 is the standard for that. And all these standards, normally it is either in section 6, sometimes in section 7, the inspection part. You should only know that inspection part of it. So remember, this is not an engineering verification of you. You might be an engineer. It's an inspection part of the equipment that you have to be careful about. And then this is the all important, widely used in industry, ANSI HI 14.6. This is the pump performance test. And they've got 3 classes. So you should know overall what is this about and what are the 3 classes and that sort of thing. You don't need to remember the numbers. And then I'll go through this during publication effectivity, the ASME documents, ASNT documents, and ASTM, MSS, and SSPC documents. Let's go there and I'll tell you what is this about. Okay, if you go to publication effectivity sheet, this is the thing. So this is the list that would be your reference study material. Now, the guide for source inspection that I've just brought up. So this is the single most important documents. Probably around 1/3 of questions come from there, maybe more. 578 PMI, popularly known, actually is a verification program or positive material identification. Normally is a procedure and this is a program. So procedure means how you have to do it. And the program is, the procedure is part of the program. So it tells you the A to Z of how you handle the PMI. And then all these standards, 610, centrifugal, 611, 614, up to 692, and then H, rotodynamic pumps acceptance. Now, you would, as a source inspector, you're required to look at some material certificates. So for that reason, you need to know about Section 2 materials. Very, very basics. The whole thing, this is like a 1,000-page document. You need to know 5-10 pages of that. We have highlighted in our course material. Section 5, non-destructive examination. You should know about the general requirements, MTPT, UT, leak test, hydro test, etc. And these sections you should know, okay? Lamination check and etc. And you should know the basics. So practically, Section 5 is about how to write a NDT procedure, okay? There is no acceptance criteria here. The acceptance criteria would be on the reference construction code. For example, if it's a pressurized equipment, invariably, as ASME Section 8 is the construction code for pressure vessels. So it can be for the casing of the pump as well, it's applicable. And you need to know only the pressure test, 1.3 times and the temperature and all that, and the Sharpie test, etc. And then Section 9 is the welding code, and you should know only these clauses, QWs, only on welding. Okay, what is the essential parameter, what is non-essential parameters on welding, and that sort of thing. That's enough for you. And the limitation of WPS, the WPQ, we explained that. And on ASNT, you don't, this is a 15-16 page document, but you basically need to know what is the job description or level 1, level 2, level 3 for NDT, and the eye test and that sort of thing. So the certification. You don't need to remember all these qualification hours and experience hours or whatever it is. That would be enough. And then obviously, this is the most important ASTM documents in the industry, which is the, excuse me, ASTM AS703 is the most important document in the industry, and it's about pressure containing parts, and MSS 55 is quality standards. There's some 65 pictures, and then SSPC. These are practically potential exam questions. They might ask you what is white metal blast cleaning, and you should know it is NACE 1, and commercial blast cleaning NACE 3, and etc. Or SP5 or SP6. Unfortunately, you have to remember this.